Here we go with Livy, Book 1, Chapter 24. Forte, by chance, in duobus tum exercitibus, in the two armies, tum then, errant there were, fratres trigemini. The tri means three, so there were triplets. So there were triplet brothers and nec. So neither, etate, in age, nec viribus, or in strength, were they dispares, unequal. I'll put a space in there. Horatios curiatos qui. So these are two people groups, the Horatii and the Curiatii. Fuisi, they were. Satis consat. It's an impersonal. It means it's agreed that they satisfactorily were these people or that people. And nec and neither. Firme, one of my favourite adverbs. Sometimes doesn't have the M in it. So nearly or almost in the antique, in the old storytelling, I guess, in the res concerning the matter, is there a nobility or one, is there other more well known? So it's generally agreed it was the Horatus and the Curiatii, and there's almost no other ancient story of that's better known. Tamen. In re, so in the matter, tamen, nevertheless, or still or yet in the matter, tam clara, so famous, an error remains, or menets, and this is of a neuter genitive plural of names. So nevertheless, in this matter, which is so famous, there remains this error concerning the names. Utrius, of which of the people were the other Horatii, and Utrius, of who, ferent, were the Curiatii, which is pretty much what they're called in English, actually. The Horatii and the Curiatii. Auctore is the authors. They trahe, they derive or are dragged to either of the sides, utraque. Plures, that means most of them. Tamen, however, or nevertheless, in venio I find, are those who qui Romanos Horatius. They call the ones who fought on the Roman side, the Horatios, which were the first group mentioned. Hos these, as it is sequa, I follow. In fact, he's inclined to follow. Animus is heart or soul seems to be to incline that he should follow hos. These people, that they are called the Horatios and not the Curiatii. Cum trigaminis agunt reg. So when the kings were agunting, they were pushing for this to happen. This is what they were doing to these triplets, the trigaminis. Or that, quisque, each one, quisque, was pro sua for their own side. Demacent was mean fighting, each one for their own patria, sua patria. So the kings made it so that the triplets each one would fight for his own patria, fight ferro with iron, which would be the sword generally, and ibi there. The imperium fore, the power would be from undi, which side had Victoria, which side was victorious, which one. Nihil recusator, passive. So nothing was refused in this proposal, and a tempus and a locus were convented. The time and place were agreed upon. Priusquam. So priusquam. So before they democrated, before they had a fight, a foedus was ictum. A treaty neuter was struck ictum inter Romanos and Albanos, between the Romans and the Albans, that by these laws, his legibus, that of those people, Vikissen, who were defeated in this contest, is alteri populo with Bonaparte. So the ones who win would be ruling, the other people with a good peace. Something like that. Foederita alia alias legibus. So one sort of treaty would be different from another in its laws. Ceterum, concerning the rest of treaties, they all have the same eodom modem. They're all done. Actually, the sentence ends there. So, eodom modo omnia fuant. So, all these are done in the same sort of way, basically. Fiat just means they happen, or this is how they're done. The treaties are different one from another, with different laws, and this is the way they're done. Tum ita factum accepimus. So, then we thus accept, or we've received this is the fact, or this is the way it was done. Nec ullius vetustio, that's a comparative. Again, we see this ullius, it's one of the 99 pronominals, or whatever they're called. They usually come after a negative, such as nec. Neither do we have any memorias, neither is a memory of any older foederus. Is there a memory of anything treaty older? Something like that. Okay. So the Fetialis, the priest in charge of treaties, he rogovited, he asked King Tullus, ita, so or thus. We have a question starting it with the nay there. Are you ordering me, Rex, king, vocative, with patrio populi urbanae, feriri foedus? Are you asking me to strike a treaty with the patrio, which is in italics, in the English, of the urban people? So here we can see the I stem in the noun. You have pure I stems which have I in the ablative singular. This doesn't. It just has the IUM. And there's I stem. A fetial, a type of priest in charge of treaties, is also an adjective. Third declension, two termination. So is male, female, and E there. Okay, back to the plot. So we have a present participle ablative. So with the king ordering this, he inquits, he asks, he says, Posco T-Rex, I demand, king, from you, saga minor, which we understand is a herb. So the Rex ate, the king said, Tolito, future imperative, okay, take it pure. So obviously it's not mixed. And sagmen, sag minor, neuter third, bunch of sacred herbs, 2 or 3 citations. Okay, so we see the plural of it here. Take it pure, unmixed. The Fetialis is the same priest who was talking to the king. Ex arche from the citadel. Graminis urbem purem atulit. So he bore it. Tuli latus ferro, but at is just a shortened version of ad. So the priest brought it from the citadel, pure herb of grass, basically. So it's the pure herbs is brought in, exactly what was asked here. It was asked to be pure. So posty afterwards, rogovited, he asked the king, thus or so, king, question, there's the nay, do you want me as the nuntium regium populi Romani, so do you want me to make the announcements of the kings of the Roman people? The Quirites actually means they're a citizen. So he has vasa comitusque. Vasa is actually a plural form. It's utensils and a whole bunch of things. There's a word vasa something or other, which means an allowance for emblems. So this priest is asking the king, do you want me to speak for the Roman people, the Quirites, with his companions? So these are people who accompany him, Comites, Meos, and his emblems or utensils or whatever. And the Rex responded, the king responded, Quod sine fraude mea popula qui Romani quietum fiat facio. Okay, this Fetialis was M. Valerius. So finally, after speaking for a while, you find his name. Normally you put that at the beginning. So, what have we had? which if you do without deceiving me or in the Roman people, fiat, make it so. Facio is like saying, yes, I do. I do want you to be the messenger of the king and the Roman people. So now we have the Fatalius's name. Let me scroll a bit. So where we have is, it's a demonstrative pronoun for he fecunded, he made Spurius Fusius, is that his name? Fusius in English, Fusium, the Patrem Patratum, which I've got here, which you can Google. The office of Pater Patratus in Roman religion means the completion priest and his role as the spokesman or executive officer of the priest sent on behalf. See, it's in the encyclopedias as well. We have Fetial there. Okay, so where the hell were we? Verbena caput capillos qui tangens. So tangens means he's touching. A verbena is a green twig, I'm guessing. So the capillus is the hair, and the qui is the end. So he was touching his head and his hair with that, so that would be ablative with this twig. Apata patratos, adius urandum patrandum. Here is for completing. Patrandum is completing. Sometimes it's used sexually, but in the jus urandum, another gerund is swearing an oath. So the Pater Patratus is for completing a solemn oath. This is sanciendum fit foetus, to make an oath. Sanciendum probably has some religious overtones in it, but to make sure the treaty's decent, I suppose, to the gods. Multus qui id verbus. So this is with many words, quae which, longo, so obviously it's long, pretty simple. Ifata kama means to speak this carmine, which is used in poetry, but so it's a formula, and non-opera est, that is not needed, referre, to refer to this, per agate. Agate's just to do this, and per just makes it more thoroughly to do it, or to go through it. So whatever this oath was, it's not worthwhile to write down for Livy. Legibus de indi recitatis. So these laws then recited, or the conditions of this treaty, audi inquit. So he said with the imperative, listen, Jupiter. We have a vocative. Listen, audi, pater patrate populi Albani. So the pater patrate of the Alban people, they need to audi as well. Audi too, so listen, you, this used vocative, populus Albanus, that's not vocative. It's a nice little trick. He's used the vocative with the imperative, and then he's just got into nominative. Ut illa parma, parlam means openly. Prima prostrema, from the beginning to the end. So illa ex illis tabulus, from these tablets, this thing from these tablets, we have an or this wax, recitata sunt, they've been recited, sine dolo mala, without any troublesome tricks or whatever, utique, especially, sometimes it means a couple other things. These things, hic here, hodie today, intellectus sunt rectissime. These have been understood most correctly. That's the superlative version of rectissime, means the most absolutely right way. And with these illis legibus, the populus Romanus will not defecate. They will not, what do you put that in English? Not defect from this, will not go away from this prior. So the Roman people won't be the first people to go away from illus legibus, from these laws or conditions. So, si prior defects. So if prior we defects it, publico concilio dolo malo, by this public consent, concilia, or public plan, or with dolo malo again, we see that, which means some sort of trickery or deception. The public will agree on this. Tum, then, ille, he diaspita, I think that's another word for Jupiter, I'm not going to look it up, but the popular Romanum thus ferrate. So Jupiter, he's talking to him, so that's vocative. Future, imperative. Strike the Roman people thus, ut as, ego as I, hunc porcum, this pork, this pig, hic, hodie, today, feriem, as I shall strike this pig here today. Semicolon. Tanto qui magus ferito, and so much more strike him, quanto, we have tanto and quanto, which are correlatives, as much as magus more, as you are able to more, and polos, and you are more stronger as well. So the god strike him much more and much more powerfully, since you're able to. And this, ubi when, Dixit, he had said this, what was the guy's name again? Spurious. He percussited, so he struck, percussed the porcum, the little porker, the pig, with a saxo silice, with a stone, and well, I don't know if we get silicon from that, but it's a flint, translated. Sua item carmina albani, suum qui us urandum per suum dictatorem, suas qui sacerdotes peragum. That's the end of that. So 25, with the treaty struck, the Trigomenes, these triplets, sic, just as had been agreed, they took up their arms. This is after, likewise, with their own carmond, with their own formula, the Albani vocative, nominatives, they'd swore their own oath through their own dictator and their own priest, Perigant, they had acted it out. So, cum sui otros qui ad hortum renta, that's a deponent, Dios patrios, patria mac parentes, quid civium domi, quid in exercitus sit, illorum tunc arma, illorum intum, we've got another infinitive deponent, manus, feroces, et suopte, it's a strengthener, ingenio and plano ad hortantium vocibus in medium inter duas accis procederunt. Okay. So nearly done anyway. So cum when on either side, with their own people encouraging them, their fathers' gods, their fatherland, and their parents, all, and quid. So whichever civium, whichever of these states or these two peoples were, if they were the home or the away team, basically, whatever was the home of these people, in whichever army they were, quid, in whichever army they were in, that's a fourth declension. Then it was the arms of them, and it was the hands of them which they were interring, which they were looking over. So they were looking at their arms and their hands. Feroces means, they were ferocious, and with their suopti, with their own natural talents and natures, and they were planai, so they were full of encouragement from these voices, from the encouragement. The vocabuses were encouraging them. Then into the medium, into duas accis, they proceeded. So then they went into the middle between the two lines. And then they considerant utrumque procastris duo exercitus periculi magus presentis quam cure expertes. We'll finish there. Coming up to 20 minutes anyway, so that the duo exercitus, as we saw, the two armies had settled down, considerated, each one pro, means in front of, their castris, pro abex de cum sine protate the ablative. Expertes means they were free from this danger, periculi, and they were more focused on their presentes and their quam cure. So they're more free from any present danger, and they're more focused on their cures, which is anxieties. Since agabato, since what was being waged was for imperiums, they were fighting for the power, and this was in so much of the few, or I think this is in with the ablative here, so it's in the valor of so few. We often see the genitive splits that, and tam's just whacked in there for good measure. And it was positum, so it was placed. The imperium was placed on the virtute and fortuna. So the valor and the fate of so few. Basically 6 people, there's 2 sets of triplets, and that's it for the day.